Ross to throw the ball into the line out.
He provided the forward-dominated Maroons with a new sense of flair and adventure.
Inside centre through the dummy. Oh, and it was taken by the New South Wales defence. Great run by O'Connor. The pass in field. Finally, Tyneman with the ball for New South Wales. But look at the drive by the Queensland forwards. Is that a try? It's a try to Queensland.
Queensland then had a very strong reputation. They'd beaten the All Blacks, they'd beaten Scotland, and virtually were considered then to be amongst the top, if not the top provincial side in the world at that stage. And Michael was very much part of that. I mean, he was very much part of, I suppose, he gave the icing on the cake, so to speak, of a very talented side.
Again, Queensland move it through their backs.
In the 2 years Michael played in Queensland, the Maroons defeated New South Wales in 3 out of 4 games.
Great play by Grigg, wrong foot of the fullback, support of O'Connor, and another great Queensland try. Great play by Peter Grigg, great backing up by Michael O'Connor. Again, Tony Shaw working hard, great ball of Tony Shaw, slack.
That lethal sidestep helped Queensland to victory again and again.
Slack, oh, great try. Wonderful try to
When Australia met Scotland in the home test series in 1982, Michael was back secure in his favoured centre position.
Back to Paul McLean, and that's a try to O'Connor. Beautiful try, lovely move by...
And while the tries kept coming, he was having doubts about his future as a carefree rugby union nomad.
But looking back on it, no, I didn't. I certainly had no idea that last game against Scotland, that last test at the Sydney Cricket Ground would be my last. And I was really at the crossroads of my life. Didn't know what I wanted to do, and had no money in my bank. And when St George showed up and were offering me a lot of money and a challenge too. I needed a challenge at that point in my life, so I had to make a decision. And my initial decision was no.
He actually wrote a letter, and he put it in an envelope, and he was going to mail it, and he rang me, and I was at my girlfriend's place at the time. And he asked my advice.
And he said, mate, he said, you are mad. He said, how much did they offer you? He said, you are crazy. You'll look back on this and it'll be one of the biggest mistakes. You can't, I mean, you get these opportunities, you've got to take them. And I thought about it for a while, ripped the letter up, and ended up ringing John Fleming the next day and saying, yep, I'm going to sign. And it happened. That's how it happened.
So in 1982, Michael O'Connor played his last game of rugby union for Queensland against the Barbarians.
Gould's in the back line again, through a dummy. O'Connor, back inside. Great try, Queensland.
My father took my signing with St George very badly, to the extent where we didn't talk to each other for about 4 years, and whenever we did, we ended up invariably in an argument. But my mind was already made up. I was going to play rugby league, and I mean, to this day, I don't think he's ever really accepted. He's mellowed a lot more now, but you know, he didn't think that I'd ever be remembered. He thought that, you know, as a union player, I was just emerging and I was just getting a name on the international scene. He used to say to me, "You'll never be remembered like a catchpole or one of the greats of rugby union."
I thought that he would make it in rugby league principally because he showed a certain degree of toughness in defence, which is not normally a skill that rugby union players have when they come to the professional code. They tend not to be as aggressive and hard in their defence. But he was physically strong, and all of those wonderful attacking skills, of course, were a bonus.
Michael moved to the working-class Sydney suburb of St George, but there was no welcoming party.
In the eyes of the players, I was another competitor. I mean, I was competition, and you know, like, of the 50 players who were at pre-season training, you knew that only 13 were going to go on and play first grade. So they viewed you with a great deal of suspicion, and if there were any weaknesses in you know, the way you trained, performed at training or whatever, it was up to them to expose it because they were after your position.
It is a big ask for a player to go straight from rugby union in the centres to first grade. I'm sure that others like him, such as Arthur Summons, who later captained Australia in rugby league, he's had to spend an entire season in reserve grade at Western Suburbs. So they don't normally come straight up. You've really got to expose them to the tougher company to see how good they are and whether they can handle it. And so consequently, even though we suspected he might be ready, we really had to be certain and give him some reserve grade games to be sure.
I'd never played reserve grade in my life, and it was a big kick in the teeth, and I never have since. And I think it was just a real blow to the ego more than anything. I didn't play all that well, I didn't play badly, but when I got my chance, I came on in first grade. I took it, I scored a try straight away, and went from there.
Jarvis throws the dummy, turns it back.
It took Michael 3 games in reserve grade to break into the first team, but by the season's end, he would be well established and voted the best and fairest at St George.
Look at O'Connor run inside 32, up to the quarter, still going. The Saints have got to score. They must score. Jones, he's over. He's over Jones for a try. Boy, oh boy. What about Michael O'Connor? Beattie tackle 15 out. Drop shot by Mike O'Connor. Looks good. He's got it. O'Connor's kicked the drop goal.
So while Michael's first year of rugby league ended well, there were tough times ahead.
In 1984, when I missed most of the season with a hamstring injury, I had a recurrence of a hamstring injury, and I missed about 12 weeks of 1984. I realised just how expendable rugby league players are. You've got to be playing week in, week out. You've got to be in front of the cameras or you're forgotten about. Nobody wants to know you. And I mean, it was a good experience for me, 1984, because it really spurred me on in 1985 to make sure that I played first grade.
1985 would indeed be the beginning of rugby league glory for Michael O'Connor.
O'Connor has intercepted. It's a race between O'Connor and Grove. I don't know whether Grove's got the pace. He's wearing him down. He's not going to get him. Yes, but too late. He left it 1 metre too late. Well, what a sensational moment in the game.
Beaten by 1 point, but it had otherwise been a great year for Michael, including his first and brutal taste of representative rugby league.
O'Connor's got it. The line's there. O'Connor scores. New South Wales are in.
O'Connor, 4 from 5, 2 tries. A magnificent debut for O'Connor.
Michael was nursing a broken nose and 2 black eyes, sustained in the City versus Country clash a week earlier.
I collected a forearm by Steve Mortimer. My nose was already broken, and he just he put it right over here on my right-hand cheek with a high tackle. It was a head-high tackle, and he just completely wiped me out, knocked me out.
Having made the New South Wales side, Michael now had to give evidence at a judicial hearing into Mortimer's head-high tackle.
I was in a terrible situation. There was a conflict of interest because he was my state of origin captain, and I had to go and give evidence at the judicial hearing on the Tuesday night, which could put him out of the game and put him out of the first state of origin against Queensland. So what happened was I sort of agreed. Just before he went in, he said, look, I don't know what I'm going to say, Snoz. He said, what if I say that I went to hit you on the shoulder and your arm came up as you were kicking the ball and it ricocheted off and that's how you got hit in the nose? I said, well, look, I can't remember too much of what happened. All I know is I got hit in the nose. But I'll say that is conceivable. If they ask me, I'll say that is conceivable, that happened.
He sort of supported me in that he felt it was an accident and it wasn't intent, and I think that may have helped along the way of being justified in the judiciary making the right decision.
If he hit me on the shoulder, it was going to take all the impact. It wasn't going to be in my nose. But I said, look, it is possible. So he got off. And it was funny because he then, I mean, he was more surprised than anyone. He then went on to captain the first ever State of Origin winning side against Queensland, and I was a part of that. So I suppose there was justice in the end.